Today we're going to draw some eyes. Over on the left side we see a lot of different examples that you can use if you want to look at those. But we're going to draw this basic one here that's a little bit realistic but stylized. And it's just going to use a basic outline here that is almost a half a circle, but its point is closer toward the nose. So, all we're going to do is draw this upper eyelid, and then we'll draw a little line for the lower eyelid. And the iris, when you draw the eye, oops, I hit the chair. When you draw the iris, the top part of the eye should be hidden. Now we'll put in a shine in the upper right, and then the pupil, and fill in the pupil. So drawing this simplified or stylized eye looks pretty good, and it's pretty easy to do. Okay, so let's do that one again. Again, we're going to draw the upper eyelid, the lower lid, now the iris, the shine, and the pupil, and then fill in the pupil. There you go. Alright, so now the other thing that I'll show you is Todd McFarlane's pupil right here is a little bit more realistic. And so you could use that as your pupil here. And what we'll do is we'll start with a circle. And if you look at it, what he's trying to show is if we think about the top of the upper eyelid, it's going to cast a shadow down into the eye. And actually, as I've mentioned before, the top of the eye should come through there, so the shadow is even going to come down further. So that's what he's showing through there. But we can think of the construction as a circle, and then we can draw where that top shadow is going to go. And then the one underneath it is where some shading can go. And there will be a highlight in the upper right and a highlight at the bottom. So then you can just fill in the darkness of those, and that's how the pupil looks. So the shading at the top, and then the pupil itself, but don't fill in that highlight right there. Of course, you'd take more time with that. But that's what the eye looks like. And then what he would do is he would have some shading over here. And I'll just use a pencil to kind of show that shading some coming down. And actually, he might use lines to show that. But that's how we can think about that pupil. And I might erase on that shine here to make it look more realistic. And there we go. So that's the more realistic pupil. Let's draw that one more time. And so we'll start with the circle. And think about where that upper line might go of shading. You might want to put the pupil in where it's going to go, then the highlight and the lower highlight, and then you can just think about where that shading is going to go. Let's go ahead and fill in the darkness in the upper part of the pupil. And then the pupil itself. Actually, I was meant the iris before. I often say pupil when I really mean the iris. So we're filling in the pupil now. And like I said, I might erase where those shines are. In your drawing, if you're actually inking, you can probably just not ink in that area. Make this a little bit clearer on that shading. And so now I'm going to do some shading. And you should make the lines kind of try to point toward the middle of the pupil. To get some of that shading in there. And there you go. So you've got a pupil, and of course if we zoom out it looks more realistic. So there you go.